So anyway, so we will start our discussion. Okay. So fine. So anyway, so we'll start this one. You see. So if you remember, the previous classes. Okay. So we have closed this finite difference method, and we have started discussing, the pseudo-spectral method. Okay. So previous classes, I have given you, a brief introduction of the pseudo-spectral method, how it goes and how it works also, So we have seen in detail in our previous classes. Okay. So if you remember, what does the pseudo-spectral method does? So what is the specialty about the pseudo-spectral method? So we discussed in our last class, right? What it does essentially. No, so if you have any differential equations, the wave equation or whatever equations are there, so what do you do in pseudo-spectral method? No.
We assume a basis function that represents the function.
Now what you will do?
Assume basis functions, then represent functions in terms of basis functions.
We use finite difference method for time derivatives, and we use orthogonal functions such as Fourier series for special derivatives.
Yes, that is what is essentially we do. Okay, like as you mentioned, you see. So here the main case is anyway the time derivatives. We will handle it separately. Okay. Same in FEM also we will do the same thing only. Okay, the time derivatives are handled through some finite difference because that is easy. Finite difference technique or something like that, and spatial derivatives say. So this we will try to do this one. Last class I also told you what is the relationship between pseudo-spectral method and FEM. See, last class we said, right, what is the basic difference between FEM, then pseudo-spectral method, other methods. So pseudo-spectral method, what do you do if you have any your grids? Say, what is that you try to do? See, whatever is your domain, say, so you divide this into number of grid points. So in FEM, what you try to do, you divide this into elements, and then you do all the calculations. But in pseudo-spectral, what to do? You fit it. So what is that you try to do? The most important thing.
Higher order polynomials.
So what we try to do is we fit higher order polynomials. Okay. So that is the advantage, so the accuracy of pseudo-spectral methods will be very high because, if if you increase the number of grid points, say, so what happens if there are 100 grid points, say, so then you should have, a 100 order polynomial itself. So number of grid points, is proportional to the, this higher order polynomials. Okay. So this is the most important thing in, this pseudo-spectral method. Okay. So more number of grid points, then more number of Fourier coefficients, or more number of orthogonal polynomials, or more number of these ones. So they come into picture. That is why its accuracy is very the accuracy is very much high when you compare the pseudo-spectral methods with other type of methods. Okay. So as already we discussed previously. So if you have any function u of x, so you represent, you approximate this by some un. So we write, last class we already told you. So an into, some phi n of x, where these are all, the orthogonal polynomials or whatever. Okay. So they can be a polynomials, or they can be a Fourier series or Chebyshev series, and so many things are there. So if you write the differential equation, say like this, okay. So where this is our operator, ODE operator, operator here, and right hand side is our forcing function, say. Okay. So we said, in pseudo-spectral method we try to find out the error. Okay. So a naught, a1, this thing. So L un minus f. So this is our basic thing, the residual actual. Okay. So if we have got exact solutions, then obviously the error will be 0. Okay, but since we would have not done, we are expressing in terms of some approximate thing, so you will get some, the error will be there. So what you do in the pseudospectral method, what do you do with this residual? Now, how you are going to find out the coefficients A0, A1 and this thing?
Equate residuals to 0 at these points.
So we equate the error to be 0 at these grid points. So automatically, we get our this error itself. Okay, so that is the philosophy. Okay, and what do you call these type of points? No. These grid point.
Collocation points.
It is what we call as collocation method actually. Okay, this is also very the important thing. Okay. Collocation method or collocation points also, because your order of the polynomial or how many number of terms you are going to use, say, so that depends on the number of the points. So this anyway we have discussed in great detail in our last class. So now what type of polynomials should be used, what type of function should be used if things are periodic, say, and the boundary conditions or whatever. So you have to use the Fourier series we have told. Okay, suppose if the things are not periodic, say, so then you have to go for this Chebyshev you followed, right? So these type of polynomials you can use, or you can even use ordinary polynomials also, x square, that also is allowed in this pseudo spectral method. Okay, so now I think last class we discussed all the great details and other thing also. Now finally I think we came to this this I think interpolation also. So that is also one thing. So now what the main idea here is see this pseudo spectral methods you can do in two things actually. Two ways can be done this method. Okay, so one is you follow, right, that is you expand in terms of orthogonal functions, say. So an and other this one, so these are the series coefficients. Okay, so a naught these are an, so these are the coefficients. So you can write like this also, or there is another way also, that is instead of writing in terms of a naught, a1 say, directly you can the function value itself at the grid points itself, this itself one can directly see the solve actually. Because anyway what you are doing, how you are finding a naught, a1, all these coefficients, once again you are anyway minimizing the residual error at these grid points only, and then you are solving a naught, a1, a2, an itself. Instead of that, sometimes what happens is directly you can give the the displacement at this itself as unknown, you can take actual x to all these points and you just solve for this grid points also. So this way also you can do. So this way if you do this directly, you are writing in terms of the grid points, say. So sometimes we say that it is more or less similar to the finite difference method also. So in finite difference method, how did we solve the equations? What are the unknowns? Now in finite difference, how did we solve? You remember whenever you had an equation, so what did you do? Yeah. So in finite difference, what did you solve actually? Whenever you had an equation, so what did you do? What did we do in our previous classes? Yeah. We used backward difference or central difference, all other kind of schemes. We were solving directly for the displacements itself, but those node points. Now in pseudo spectral method, what you are doing is these displacements you can represent in terms of some series expansions. So anyway, these coefficients are also linked to this one. So you can also solve similar to finite difference method also this pseudo spectral method itself. Okay, so here that's why the interpolation, the cardinal functions and other things, they come into picture here. Okay, so anyway, just let us see this in the great detail. Okay, so there are two ways. One, so last class we started this interpolation also. Okay, so because anyway it is interpolation here itself, so I think we have so interpolation you followed, right? So if you have any functions say, so f of x, so if you want to interpolate, say, with this is our polynomial. Okay, the interpolation polynomial if we have, so now we solve is at these grid points only. So at this all the grid points, so your function value should be same as this interpolation polynomial also. And then we gave this a polynomial interpolation, the Lagrange the interpolation, you see. So if you see this Lagrange interpolation, say, okay, or polynomial interpolation also, our last class. Okay, depending on the number of points you get. So which means so your Pn of x say. So this can be written as I is equal to 0 to n. So f of you see xi and the ci of x actual. So the ci we are calling as cardinal functions. So the ci of x say is that j is equal to 0 and j is not equal to I. So n. So x minus xj. Okay, by xi minus xj. So this is how the Lagrange interpolation formula. Okay. So here, so our polynomials say whatever you have fitted. So you are. So what are the unknowns here? Now see, now the previously we used to write as un as 5 into you see this expansion say here. Okay. So here this was our the original representation. You can write in terms of orthogonal polynomials, and you can write like this also. Now what we are trying to do is that is one way in the pseudospectral method. Now another way of solving the pseudospectral method say to find out the series coefficients, once again anyway you are trying to find out from the data itself. So instead of doing that one, you can also do like this way also. So where the unknowns here are the points itself, the f of xi you follow it. So this itself is my unknown, and ci of x, these are all what we also call as the cardinal functions also. Okay. So anyway, they are all very well known, the Lagrange polynomials or something. So you can also represent in terms of like this. And the advantage of this cardinal functions is, so I is equal to j say, it matches exactly with the function value itself. Okay. And of course, last class we have also told how this interpolation points should be. What is the guideline? So if I have a domain, say like a beam 0 to L, something like that. Okay. Now where should be the interpolation points? If you want equal spacing or unequal spacing. Now what did we say?
So usually irregular
Unequal.
spacing is preferred, but spatial sampling is more at the ends.
Now why spatial sampling should be more at the ends? No.
Because errors are error is maximum at the ends. Rest of the part it matches with the equation.
Okay, so of course it depends on the problem. See, suppose if the things are periodic, say, if the things are periodic, what do you do? Equal or unequal spacing? So like for example, you want to interpolate a simple sine wave like
Equal
this. You will go for equal spacing or
space.
unequal. Both of them will give you followed it. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but of course in our problems, what we are dealing, they are not periodic. You followed it. Then what type of spacing? I think last class I told you, right? One important. What is that famous problem? What is that famous problem? Runge's this one. Okay, is anyway the probability density from Cauchy's distribution itself. So this is a very famous problem actually, which shows that your equal spacing doesn't work at the endpoints only. The errors will be more actual. Suppose even in the Fourier series expansion also we have seen. So if we want to interpolate these kind of things, straight line or this thing, I think today Siddharth has sent the assignment whatever. I don't know how many of you plotted this one. So like approximating the Fourier series, and here also you have a problem. So the more errors will be at the endpoints actual. So when you are trying to interpolate these type of functions, okay. So what type of grid you should use? So last class, how do you find out the grid points? Now what was some special thing we took? No, instead of if you want unequal spacing, say. So what is that you have to do? Where the grid points should be spaced? Last class I told you, right? So it should be based on which polynomials?
Chebyshev polynomial.
Chebyshev, okay. Chebyshev only. So what is the Chebyshev polynomial spacing? So our exercise say your interpolation, those details, okay, where they are located. You remember last class I think already some cos of 2i minus 1 times some pi. You followed right, 2 into n plus 1, something like this. Okay, the Chebyshev notes we say. Okay, these are nothing but the roots of this Chebyshev polynomial. So the main concept is you followed right. You take a circle, say, and the circle you divide this into equal points. Okay. But when you try to project it on a linear space, what happens is, the spacing becomes more at the center, but the spacing becomes very dense near the ends actual. So this is one guideline. Okay, the roots of Chebyshev polynomial, like that, we try to use this one. Okay, and now here suppose if we want to integrate this function, say, so a to this one, so there is another way also. Okay, so f of x dx. So if this is one is another the way is Chebyshev node actuals. Okay, this is also one way to select our interpolating polynomials. Okay, now there is another way also. So generally, what one tries to do is, we are trying to link our the pseudo spectral method, say, the pseudo spectral method. So this word comes, how you are choosing your interpolating points. Okay, so these interpolating points where you are interpolating the function. Okay, so this also becomes very important here. So generally, like last class I told you, you would have heard this Gaussian quadrature. Okay, in your finite element, or if you are doing any numerical methods courses, a numerical integration, generally you see people use this Gaussian quadrature. Okay, what is the speciality of Gaussian quadrature? Now, any of you remember Gaussian quadrature? What do you do in Gaussian quadrature? Suppose if I want to integrate a function a to f of x, say, from a to b, what do you do in Gaussian quadrature?
So in Gaussian quadrature, range is from -1 to 1, sir, and we take 2 points. Basic problem.
How? No. What is the basic philosophy behind Gaussian quadrature? Siddharth, you wanted to tell, no?
We represent integral as sum.
At sum? No, I think
Integral as summation.
no.
So
Integral you
integral
put
is
it as a
reflected.
summation. No, but that is fine. But what is the basic philosophy behind this Gaussian quadrature? That's what I'm asking you. No? So we write like this only. That is perfectly fine. Okay. So what is the basic philosophy behind Gaussian quadrature?
These are the roots of legendary polynomial, the weight functions.
No, that is also fine. But what is the great advantage you get in Gaussian quadrature? Basic philosophy I'm just asking you. So if I have any function, say, so I have to find out the area of this function. Okay, so let us say this is a and this is b. Okay, now what are the how many ways? So I want to find out area under this function. What do you do? So generally you follow, right? You can use a trapezoidal rule. In trapezoidal rule, what is that you try to do? Now, what do you do in trapezoidal rule to find out integrals? Say, to do. See, how do you find out area under a function? See, how do you find out area under a function f of x? So how do you find out area under a function?
So say integration, sir.
No. How do you do a numerical integration? See, what is the famous rule which we use? Trapezoidal rule we have. What do we do? Try to do in trapezoidal rule. You remember, right? You divide this. You approximate this by a.
We discretize.
You discretize if the area is very small, say. So you can approximate this by some kind of a rectangle or trapezium kind of a thing, and then you follow, right? This is a and this is a function value, say. So you approximate by some line like this. You followed. So you find out the area, and then you see you get the area. That is how you try to do it in a trapezoidal rule. But now in Gaussian quadrature, say, what you try to do? What do you do? So if I have this is my A and this is by B say. So if I want to find out the area under any function, say, okay, f of x, okay. In Gaussian quadrature, what to try to do, the speciality of Gaussian quadrature, what to try to do is, these points also, we leave it actually, okay. So like for example, so like as already, you take some, suppose let us say this function is like this. So I will draw it properly. Now, so if I have any function, say, okay, so I have any function like this. So now to find out area under this function, what we try to do is we select these points, that is A, and these interpolating points actually where you are getting the values itself. So we write our function as so C1 times say f of a plus C2 times say f of b, the function value. So we write some, these are 2-point formulas for example. Okay, so we write like this, and here what we do is we treat these weights actually C1, C2, then A, and then B. Say all of them are treated as the unknowns, the function value where you are taking say. So they are treated as unknowns, and then we try to find out this the integrals actually. See, like for example, you followed right. See, like 2-point Gauss quadrature formula say. So if I have a 2-point the Gauss quadrature formula. Okay, so what you try to do. So now so this is my integral. Okay, so a to b you followed right. So f of x dx. So 2 points, so which means so c1 f of x1 plus c2 f of x2 actual. So how many unknowns are there here? So x1 x2 where you are sampling your function, that is also we keep it as open. So this also it doesn't know. And what is the weight actual c1 and c2, the functional values. So this also we treat them as the unknowns. Okay, so that is how we try to do in a Gaussian quadrature. So now if there are 4 unknowns, what is the order of the polynomial you can fit with 4 points? Nah. So if I have 4 points, say what polynomial you can fit? If I have 2 points, what one you can fit?
A straight line if it is
Linear.
With four
Cubic.
cubic
It's a
equation.
cubic.
So now what we try to do is so we say that because there are 4 unknowns are there, we say that these weights, whatever unknowns are there, they should be exact to a polynomial of the cubic polynomial actually. Okay, so like this we write a2 times x square plus a3 times x cube kind of a thing. Okay, so what we try to do is, so this is x1 x2 c1 and c2, you have to find such that this integral gives you exact value for this cubic order polynomial. So you try to fit this function say. So a to be f of x dx. So you write a to be a naught plus a1x plus you see a2 x square plus a3 times x cube say into dx. So this anyway you can solve. Okay, so you can get something like a naught into b minus a plus a1 into you see b square minus a square by 2. Okay, so plus a2 into b cube minus a cube by 3. Okay, plus a3 say. So b to the power of 4 minus a to the power of 4 by 4. So like this we get this is exact solution. Now our formula you have to see. So a to b. Okay, so we have f of x dx. So this one will be c1 times f of x1 plus c2 times f of x2. So you can write this expression as c1 into a naught plus a1 x1 plus a2 x1 square plus a3 x1 cube. Okay, plus c2 plus a1 times x2 plus a2 times x3, sorry a2 times x2 plus a3 times x2 cube. Okay, so we write like this. So now both of them should be exactly you followed right, same to we have to equate this versus this itself. Okay, so now you equate the coefficients. So here also you write in terms of a naught this plus a1 times this plus a2 times this plus a3 times this, and then you equate all these coefficients. So this term which comes from this equation, it should be same as b minus a. So like for example b minus a is c1 minus c1 plus c2, then b square minus a square by 2 is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2. Okay, so you will get 4 equations. You solve this 4 equations say. So you will get our the solution. So c1 becomes b minus a by 2, then the c2 say this becomes b minus a by 2, and our x1, okay, so this becomes b minus a by 2 minus 1 by root 3 plus b plus a by 2, and then you see x2, the second point where you have to take the functional value. So this also automatically comes from this Gaussian quadrature method actually. So here, so you obtain, you see this is our Gauss point, the formula. So this is basically so Gauss you followed a 2-point formula we say, because you are approximating the function with only you followed right 2 points. Now suppose if you want a 3-point formula say, what is that you have to do? So how to derive? So 3-point formula means how do you write? So what will be our solution? 3-point formula means, so if I have a to b, say f of x dx, if I want to integrate by Gaussian quadrature, so what is that you have to do? To derive the 3-point formula. Now previously what is that we have done? 2 points, x1, x2. Now it will become
C3 also will come.
C2 into f of x2 plus C3 into f of x3. Now how many unknowns are there?
6.
6 unknowns. Now how do you find out these constants? How do you find out the x1, x2 and C1, C2, C3? Now what is that you have to do? What is the philosophy?
So we need 6 equations, sir.
How do you find out 6 equations? So whatever formula you are deriving, it should be exact for what order polynomial. 6 points means what is the highest you can fit?
5th order polynomial.
5th order. So
Fifth order.
you have to write a0 plus a1 plus a2 plus a3 plus a4 you followed, right? And then a5 will be there. Okay, x to the power of 4, x to the power of 5. You integrate, you equate, and then you find out this the Gauss points actually. Okay, so this is how we try to do it in our Gaussian the quadrature. So if you see any textbooks, okay, if you see any FEM book or any Gaussian you follow, right, the Gauss points, they will give, of course, in many textbooks, they don't give as B to A, they give as -1 to 1 kind of a thing. So you will have these type of Gauss points. You remember? Suppose if you take A and B as 1, say what happens? What becomes this point? So 1 to -1. Okay, -1. Substitute here. So B is -1, minus of -1 you followed it. This comes here. So so they were Gauss points, a 2-point formula we say. So for 2-point formula, and if the integral limits are 1 to -1, so your Gauss points are located at plus or minus 1/√3. So the same thing, whatever you followed, right, we get here. So these are the Gauss points, and the weightages are the one, that is C1 and C2. You followed, right? So C1 and C2s are you can see here, they are basically equal to 1. So these are 2-point formula we have. Then 3-point formula, say 3-point means 6 unknowns are there. You can see any textbook also standard. So 0, 0, we have a plus root of 3/5 and then minus root of 3/5, and you have weights also. So 8/9, 8/9, then 5/9 you followed, right? 5/9 kind of a thing. So this is how you followed, right? Your Gaussian integration, you see, we try to do in our method itself. Okay, so now here there are also several methods are there in the, this Gaussian quadrature. So this is one thing is with respect to the polynomials. Okay, we are trying to find out the weights itself. But here one most important thing, which we will discuss in our spectral element also, in the Gaussian quadratures, in the 2-point formula, whatever we have seen, where are the nodes located? So this is my function. So let us say this is -1 and this is 1. So this is my function actually. Now where are my Gauss points? Where are the Gauss points? Where are you taking the values, the Gauss points for 2-point formula? See this here, where are the Gauss points? No, where they are located? 1/√3. So where you are taking? So the function value is -1/√3. Then you are taking, you followed it, 1/√3. Now suppose if you use a 3-point formula, say where the Gauss points are located? So 2 of them are at 0, 0 only. Other one is at plus root of 3/5, and then other one is minus root of 3/5 actually. Okay, so like that you have, okay, and you have several Gauss points. Now here the most important thing in Gaussian quadrature is the end points. What is the functional value at -1 and at 1? Thus doesn't enter our calculations at all actually. You followed. So the end points, say they don't they enter our calculations. They are not required also. You followed. So they are not required, you see, in our calculations, the integral the calculations. So this is what generally is known as Gauss-Jacobi integration also. Sometimes you followed, right? So there are several methods are there. Gauss, Legendre, Lobato, you followed, right? So there are several schemes are there. Okay, Legendary, Loboto, many higher order schemes are there where here you are using the polynomials, that is a1x plus a2x square, like that you are using. So the other ways is instead of using as this whatever we discussed is a classical Gaussian quadrature, which is widely used in FEM and other techniques. Okay, so there are better techniques also are there in Gaussian quadrature where instead of going in terms of polynomials, people use instead of ordinary polynomial they use legendary polynomials, the roots of the polynomials also they try to use. So this is a special scheme, Gaussian GLL quadrature they say, where we will include even the end values also into the calculations. Okay, so anyway we will discuss this in great detail once it comes to our this spectral element method also. Okay, so now the idea here is so now our pseudo spectral method, say whatever the name or how this pseudo spectral scheme, as already we were discussing, you followed, right? The most important thing is so this in the pseudo spectral methods, how to choose this collocation points. Okay, so these our interpolation thing is how do I choose this points itself. Now one can show mathematically that if this interpolation points say if they are same as the Gauss points itself, then one can show that our Galerkin method say. Okay, so this Galerkin method is also very famous method in FEMs. Okay, so this Galerkin method more or less it is same as the pseudo spectral they say. Okay, pseudo spectral method, provided your collocation points say where you are approximating the functions. Okay, so they are taken same as the Gauss points actually. You followed. So that is, this is also a special the name which comes into picture actual. So in the same Gaussian point, whatever GLL quadrature roots of these polynomials, if you so in pseudo spectral method also, if you are interpolating the function at these special points, one can show that. So this is more or less you will get similar results, or then mathematically one can show that it is exactly same as our Galerkin method also. You remember, right? Last class I told you what is the focus and what is the main philosophy in Galerkin method? See, what do you do in Galerkin method? I told you, right? Last class.
Orthogonality between basis functions and residuals.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so now there we do this orthogonal. So that means your residual functions, say this and your basis functions, so they are orthogonal to each other actually. Okay, so this is how we do. So one can show that both of them are more or less the same itself. That is how. So pseudo spectral methods, this name generally comes like anyway you are having a collocation method. See, collocation method means the order of the polynomial, the number of grid points should be same. That we call as a collocation method in mathematics. Okay, but now if you choose your collocation method, say the points where you are sampling the function same as Gauss points, okay, that is a Gaussian quadrature or Gauss GLL quadrature or something, one can mathematically show that it is more or less Galerkin you followed it, both of them are same. So final and Galerkin method, what to do, you have this type of function only, r times residual multiplied by phi is a integral actual. So now when you are solving how do you solve integral? Suppose this integral also you solve using Gaussian quadrature only, say. Now what happens if you are solving this integral with a Gaussian quadrature means Gaussian integral is also just a summation only. Just now we have seen the wi into f of xi. So this is same as the pseudo spectral method is interpolation. You follow, right? So now if you are taking the same point, say, and here also you are using a Gaussian quadrature, say, and here also you are using a Gaussian points, these points only if you are taking, you see both of them will give you followed, right, the same you may arrive at the same solutions itself actually. So this is a very important thing. So what if somebody asks you what do you mean by pseudo spectral method, so you should say that it is basically a collocation method only. So what is meant by collocation? Number of grid points increase, order of the polynomial increases, both of them should be same actually. Okay, and now if you choose this collocation point same as Gaussian points, okay, then your Galerkin for that same. So that is how you see we call the pseudo spectral method name comes into picture. It is a collocation method on Gauss points actually. Okay, so this is a very you follow, right, the important the observations. Okay, so now so this you see we can so now here so if you have any function say so a to b, so that Lagrange you can also write like this. Okay, dx. So already we wrote wi into f of xi. So I is equal to 0 to n. So like if you use this Lagrange polynomial, see just now we wrote, right? So px we are writing as this is our Lagrange the interpolation formula. So if I integrate this function say a to b, then automatically that integral, this is anyway a point f of xi, the function value, it goes away. So this integral goes to this function, that is nothing but you see the area under this the cardinal functions itself. Okay, so this also one can draw. Okay, this Gaussian this integration. So wy is nothing but the integral under this cardinal functions. Okay, so this is a very the important the observations, okay, which we can make here. And now let us see this so you can also show that this Gaussian quadrature, then all those things are same. See, like for example, you see we are making a function say, so this is our function, so we are interpolating at this the Gauss points itself. Okay, so we have n plus 1 point Gaussian quadrature, so n is equal to 0 to n. So if I write as a n phi n of x. Okay, so now our pseudo this you substitute in our equation, so that is our equation is basically lu times f. Okay, so if we substitute this in this expression, we get l you followed it, some a is equal to see f hat, where your l hat says nothing but l phi j of xi, and of course f of I is f of xi. So we can write this expression as some j is equal to 0 to n Lij into Aj is equal to f of I. Okay, or if you write it nicely, okay, so Le times phi j of xi. Okay, so multiplied by Aj is equal to f of xi. Okay, so now if you multiply say this above equation, okay, so the above equation by once again our the this function, so wi times you see phi n of xi. Okay, so these are, so these w's are nothing but you see the Gauss quadrature weights say. Okay, so you get once again you can write this expression as so j is equal to 0 to n. So we have h n j aj is equal to some g times n itself, where our h n j say is I is equal to 0 to n. So we have wi phi n of xi. Okay, multiplied by L in we will be having, so phi j of the xi. Okay, so this is how we can write. So this is same as you followed, right, the Galerkin's the approach itself. Okay, so this is our Galerkin's equation, where you write the integral, and then if you solve it into these points, you will get automatically the Galerkin approach itself. Okay, so these, and of course gn also it is nothing but because you have multiplied say I is equal to 0 to n. So wi, so phi n of xi, f of xi. Okay, so you can write, so you can see, so from the pseudo spectral method, you make at the Gauss points, you can derive this Galerkin approach itself, which means you followed, right, both of them are same, provided you select the collocation points at this the Gauss points. So that is how we can write this also. Okay. Yeah, so now so you can do, so if you do this trigonometric interpolations, just just for completeness we are doing here. So if you have trigonometric interpolations, we have discussed, I have shown you the ordinary this one. Now, so if I have so the collocation points, so whenever there is a periodic functions then you can take collocation points to be equally spaced. If you take as 2 pi k by n, and k is equal to 1 2 up to n. So if I have the Fourier series representations of any function, okay, so half times alpha naught plus n is equal to 1 to infinity. So we have alpha n cos of nx plus n is equal to 1 to infinity. So we have beta n times sine of nx. Okay, so now if you want to find out trigonometric polynomials, so which interpolates this this function f of x, so we can write this expression as half a naught. So n is equal to 1. So n by 2 minus 1. So we have a n cos of the nx. Okay, plus n is equal to 1 to n by 2 minus 1 bn sin of nx. Okay, plus we have some extra term will be there, half some am cos of some m times x, where m is equal to some n by 2. Okay, so Sn is our interpolating polynomial. So that it is interpolating, you followed, right, of f of x. So our criteria is Sn, okay, the interpolating polynomial at those collocation points, say it should be same as your original function. So this is our criteria. Okay, so you can equate these two and you can find out the coefficients of the interpolant. So you can write this expression as 2 by n. So you equate this versus this at the collocation points, say. So you can get our this itself. So k is equal to 1 to n. So you can directly write as cos of nxk. Okay, and similarly, so bn will be 2 by n. So sigma k is equal to 1 to n. So we have f of xk and sine of n times xk. So this is how you can do a trigonometric interpolation. Okay, so you are having any function, say f of x. So now we are representing through a trigonometric the polynomial, these trigonometrical terms, and you can obtain these coefficients in this format actually. Okay, so this, and of course equal spacing we used to this one. Now suppose if you are using a Chebyshev polynomial, say, then what happens? Where will be the nodes, collocation points? Suppose if you want to do Chebyshev interpolation, say. So if you want to do this Chebyshev interpolation, okay, so you know that Chebyshev polynomials, we write in terms of the Chebyshev polynomial, but where will be the nodes will be located for Chebyshev? Where are the collocation points located?
So on the semicircle part out.
On the semicircle. So what is that semicircle part? So they are nothing but roots of your the Chebyshev nodes, we say. Okay, so our collocation points will not be same, it will not be any, we will go for unequal spacing. So they go for, you followed, right? So this type of spacing actually. So k is equal to 0, 1, you followed, right? So now our polynomial, say, so this is our Chebyshev interpolating polynomial. So we write n is equal to 0 to n. Okay, I am just writing some notations here. So bn into tn of x. So these are our Chebyshev polynomial. So this means the first and last terms. Okay, the first and last terms is there. So they have to be taken with a factor of have to be taken, you see, with a factor of half. Okay, so just a notation actually. Okay, so now this is our interpolating polynomial. So now this bn, that is our coefficients, say. Okay, so we can find out you followed it 2 by n. So sigma k is equal to 0 to n, of course f of xk, okay, multiplied by tn of xk. So this is how a Chebyshev interpolation has to be done, which means you see your pn of xk, say, should be same as f of xk. So this is our criteria. The collocation points, both of them should be same. So you equate, we can get our Chebyshev, the coefficients itself. So only thing is when you are doing this type of interpolation, say, so now you followed, right? So the grids are unequal kind of a spacing will be there. So this is one way of representing the functions, and then so once you know this one, say, so you substitute in our the ODE or PDE like we discussed in our previous class, and then you solve the solutions actually. Okay, now as already I told you, in Chebyshev, in our pseudo-spectral methods, the alternative is another way of solving to do is, so one is this type of interpolations. Okay, one is to use this type of orthogonal polynomials, and then You solve for the coefficients and then you get the results. Another way, as already I told you, the cardinal, the functions actually. So instead of solving in terms of the coefficients of our polynomial directly, you follow, right? You can travel with the UA itself. So orthogonal polynomials means we have our coefficient. These are the series coefficient, like Fourier series you followed, right? So this we are solving actually. So this is one way. Or another way anyway is the values of the functions at the interpolation points itself. Okay. So this is another way. You followed, right? So that is u of you see xi. So this itself you treat them as unknowns anyway. Both of them are linked, r f of xi. You followed. So now here you can see. So now what here we are doing is you are like, for example, if you see the Fourier series, so you are representing you see the function in terms of a Fourier series expansion. Then you are solving for an and bn such that these two will be same, and then you followed it. We are trying to get the solution. Now this is anyway one way of solving the pseudo spectral methods. So another way of solving this is anyway this a naught and bn say anyway they all depend on the function values itself. Why don't you solve directly in terms of the function values itself? Okay, so here what happens is this cardinal functions and other things comes. So this is also sometimes used actually, which is better means whether to do the series expansion you try to solve, or whether to do directly in terms of function at interpolation points. Both of them, some problems this may be advantageous. Sometimes you follow, right, it may be advantage. So like for example, if you're having n+1 coefficients, say if you have pn, okay, n+1 coefficients are there, so that means you want n+1 functional values also, f of xi. So you equate these two and then you are trying to find out x. So instead of that, why do you want to do this all these things? Directly we can solve in terms of the function values itself. Okay, so this is where the cardinal functions comes into picture. So whether to go for an or the function values itself. So you followed, right? So both of them can be explored actually. So if you want to do directly right in terms of the functional values, say, similar to our finite difference method. So in finite difference also, whenever we had a derivative, say we used the fourth order scheme or second order scheme or fourth order scheme, directly we wrote the everything in terms of the function values, the displacement at the corresponding grids itself we wrote, and then we solved directly. We didn't do anything like that. So now it's similar to finite difference also, we can use this pseudo spectral method also. Okay, so this is some advantages you have directly in terms of u of xi itself. Okay, so here our cardinal functions comes into picture actually. Cardinal function I already told you previously, that Cj, whatever is the Lagrange, or there are several cardinal actual. Okay, so one famous or sometimes it is also known as you followed it, Whittaker the cardinal function, which is very widely used in periodic kind of thing. So this function is defined like this. So we have a collocation points like this. Okay, so j is 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2, like that it goes away. So the cardinal functions, so they are defined like this. So ck x and h is a shifting point actually. Okay, so sine we have, so pi x minus kh by h, okay, by you see pi into x minus kh by h actually. So this is a definition of our cardinal function. The main advantage of cardinal functions is, so ck say xj at h, okay, this is equal to delta the ij, so delta jk. Okay, so one can write this as delta jk. What does it tells you? So what does it tells you? What is the meaning of this one? Now what does it mean? What is the property of this cardinal function? So if you see these functions, what does it tells you?
When j is equal to k, 0.
When j is equal to k, it is
0.
See, when j is not equal to k, anyway it is 0. But when j is equal to k, say, of course, in terms of a integral sense, it is equal to the functional value itself. Okay, that is how you have to interpret this one. So now if you so if you take h as 0, say, okay, so this means you will get the simple function sinc of x actually. So this is a sine pi of x, okay, by the pi x. So this function, if you try to plot it in MATLAB, okay, how does this function looks like? Yeah, so this function is a very famous function in even in seismology also. I told you previously how this function looks like. So if I plot this function, a sinc function, how does it looks like? Yeah. See, in our engineering seismology also we have seen, where do you get these type of functions? You remember previously when you take Fourier transforms of a step function, what is that we got? You remember? So when we had, if you want to take a Fourier transform of a step function also, so you get these type of functions, so how this, so this function, how it looks like. So this will be, you remember, so it goes like this, and of course this will be symmetric on this side also. Okay, so this is how this function looks like. This is a sinc function. You follow? So at this values, at x is equal to 0, it will be equal to the functional value itself. Okay, so if you were, so this cardinal function, this can be used to find out for any function. So f of x, say, so if you want to represent f of x like this, so j is equal to minus infinity to infinity, so f of x j, okay, and your the cardinal function actually. So what is the property of, so when I write this expression like this, okay, so what happens now? So now when when you are substituting xj, say, okay, so when what is the property of this cardinal function? So if I substitute xj, what happens? Both delta jk, say, this and this are same. So what happens? So this becomes almost one kind of a thing, and finally you will be left with the functional value itself. Okay, so this so it is just representing your function value itself. So this is what we call as the cardinal the representation actually. So now for trigonometric interpolation, say, so sometimes this one sinc x is the oldest cardinal function which came. Now we have another cardinal functions also for trigonometric interpolations. Okay, so one can also write like this. These are the same, more or less same type of functions only, but slightly different. Okay, so these are my collocation points, equally spaced. Okay, so trigonometry, so we can write any function, say f of x as j is equal to 0 to n minus 1. Directly we are writing in terms of the functional values. That's the main advantage. You follow? So xi, and then xj, this is also. Okay, so this is how we write, and our cardinal function, say, so cj of x is 1 by n, so sine. So you can plot this in MATLAB and you can verify x minus xj by 2 cot x minus xj by 2. Okay, so this is a cardinal function for the trigonometric case, the interpolation. Of course, one can show that more or less if you do all kinds of Taylor series expansions and others, automatically it boils down to the that's the same cardinal function, that Whittaker's the function itself actually. Okay, so this is how the function looks like actually. So now if you are having the main advantages like this, so now you suppose if I am having an equation like this, so LU is equal to f of x. So this is my main the differential equation which I have to solve, say. So now so what we try to do is we write this, we represent this equation approximately like this. So f hat, okay, so where uj is u of xj, these are the functional values, and f of I, say, is f of xi, okay, then Lij, say. So this is L times the cardinal function cj of x, okay, at x is equal to xi, and of course I and j, They all run from 0, 1, you followed it up to n minus 1 itself. So our cardinal function, so Cj of xi, okay, the property is, it is a delta ij. You can even find out its derivatives also. So Cj, if you differentiate with respect to x, say, so this one will be, so delta ij of well, like that we write. So this quantity will be 0 when I is equal to j, and other way is half, minus 1 I plus j cot of xi minus xj by 2 when I is not equal to j. So this is its a derivative also. So this cardinal functions is, and of course you can also find out its second derivative also, dou x square. So this also you can write, some big expression comes, no, it's minus 2 n square plus 1 by 6 when I is equal to j, and this is a half, okay. So minus 1 I plus j plus 1 by, you see, sine squares xi minus the xj by 2 when I is not equal to j. You followed. So these advantages you have with the Kronecker, the delta functions. So if I have, say, so my operator is like this, a2 of x, some dou by dou x square plus a1 of x. So I have a differential equation like this, okay, plus a naught of x. So the operator is like this, it's a partial derivative. So yeah, my Lij say, so these terms will be, so a2 of xi, okay, and this becomes a delta ij. So this is my second derivative. So this, if I denote this as delta ij of 2, that's the second derivative of my cardinal function. So this becomes 2 plus a1 of xi, so delta ij of 1 itself, and then we have, you see, a naught of xi delta ij. So this is how we write using our cardinal functions itself. So that is how we have a great the advantage actually, okay. So this is how you followed it. We try to write the same thing in terms of cardinal function. So what's the main advantage when you write in terms of the cardinal functions? Now, what's the main point here we are expressing? See, what is that we are doing here? What's the great advantage of cardinals? Now, see, previously how we were solving the previous, the interpolation or whatever we discussed. Say, so previously, what is that our representation? Now, see, the starting, what did we do? We are writing US. See, in the pseudospectral method, say, okay. So if you see the starting, what is that we are trying to do? There are two ways, as already I told you, right? So one way is you represent your displacement or your function, say, as in terms of a orthogonal polynomials. You substitute this in the equation, and then you are solving for an actually. That is the coefficients. Now in cardinal functions, what's the greatest advantage you have? Yeah. So in cardinal functions, what are you doing now? See, when the cardinal function, what's the greatest advantage you have? So now if I have any differential equation, say, so instead of, so LG is equal to same equation. So previously we are writing this as some an you followed, right, and some phi n of x, like that. You see, we used to write actually, okay. This is one way, and then you substitute in this equation, you solve for the coefficients. Now the main advantage in the cardinal functions, the advantage is, what are the unknowns here? Now what are the unknowns? Now what are the unknowns? See, in the old way, unknowns are your coefficients, okay. Now what are the unknowns here in the cardinal, when you write in terms of cardinal functions? Come on, what are the unknowns here? So I hope you people are following, right? What are the unknowns here? What is that we are doing here in the cardinal functions are this one? Just now I told you, right, why we are doing all these cardinal functions. As already I told you, one way is you find out these coefficients. Another way is, instead of solving for coefficients directly, you solve for the function values itself at xi. Okay, so that is possible only through this cardinal functions. You followed. So now you can see the equation has become like this actual. So now our equations have become LU is equal to that old one, right? Now our equation itself is LU is equal to F itself. So finally, when you solve this equation, you are directly solving for the UJs itself, the displacement at those node points itself. So that is the advantage you see of our cardinal functions. Are these something like an alternative actually? Instead of going through all those the Fourier series and other series expansions, directly you solve for the functional values also. Now this is for the trigonometric the interpolation, so you can do for several orthogonal polynomials also. Okay, if you do that sinc x say, that is for it is valid for the sinusoidal case. Now you can solve for any the orthogonal polynomial. So if I have any orthogonal polynomial say, okay, so phi n plus 1 or whatever you followed, right? So now you can derive the cardinal functions. So it is given like this. So Cj of x say. So you can write this as phi n plus 1 times x, the orthogonal polynomial. 1 second. X here. So this will divided by say phi n plus 1 say. Okay, comma x xj x minus xj. This is a derivative actual. Okay, so you are differentiating with the polynomial with respect to this function. So if you want for the Lobato grid also, so legendary polynomials you say. Okay, legendary this type of polynomials. So Cj of x, so this becomes is 1 minus x square. Okay, so phi n comma x, this one. So comma indicates a derivative. So 1 minus xj square. Okay, multiplied by you see phi n comma x xj. Okay, this is also the x minus xj. So these are the cardinal functions. Okay, so they look something like this. So suppose if I have a grid like this, say, so these are my points. Okay, so these are my points are there. Okay, so now my cardinal functions will be they will be like this. So now the cardinal function, how it looks like this is the first cardinal function say. See, like for example, if I want a c1, so the cardinal functions will be like this. You followed. So the cardinal function it is something like this. So what is the meaning of this one for the cardinal function say? So this cardinal function where it is at all other points it is 0, but where it is maximum
At end point.
at the end point. Now if I plot the second cardinal function say, where it will be same points 1 2 3 you followed, right? 5 6. So these are my functions. Okay, so now where it will be, so where it should be maximum
And at second point,
second
sir.
point or wherever. Okay, suppose if I want so this is anyway my domain actual. Okay, so now suppose let us say I want the function to be here say, so now my this value will be you followed, right? So it will be maximum at this value itself you follow. So this is how the cardinal functions you say they look like actual. Suppose I want my cardinal function say, if I am taking this, let us say these are the functional values or collocation or whatever you say. So like for example, so if I take my the grid points, okay, so like some way like whatever fashion is there say, so this is my grid point say, and if I want to plot my third cardinal function you followed it, so it will be something you followed, right? So something like this actually. Okay, so at these points this cardinal functions will be the maximum kind of a thing you have. So cardinal functions, what is the main advantage of cardinal functions is, if I am having 100 points say, the cardinal functions what they try to do is you can pick only at the functional value only, it will be equal to 1 and it will be same as your functional value at all other points say. So its value is the 0. So the main advantage for you here is instead of solving in terms of coefficients, you can solve directly in terms of this functional values itself. Okay, so you can just to summarize, so LU is equal to F. So this is our original the differential equation say. So one way is cardinal function means, so you write our unknowns are you followed, right? the grid points itself. So grid point or the cardinal function. Okay, this is a cardinal function form actually. Another way is we substitute you followed, right, and then u is equal to you write as an into some phi and all those things. So here the unknowns are a's, okay, the coefficient. So this is our series coefficients. So this is another way to solve the problem actually. Okay, so two things are there, and of course as already I told you, so u of x is n is equal to 0 to n, so an phi n of x actual. So this is one alternative, this is second alternative. You can find out the link between both of them will be same only, but sometimes when you do problems, one will be advantageous, sometimes another one will be advantage. So ui is u of xi, then f of I say is f of xi and Lij. So this is so you have this cardinal the functions. So this is at x is equal to xi and hij say L phi j of x. Okay, at x is equal to xi. Okay, so where xi are the interpolation points. And our phi i's say, so they are nothing but your spectral basis functions. And of course Cj, these are all cardinals. You followed. So these how they look like, and of course because all of them should be same, this and this also should be related actually, h and a. You can say the link between them also you can write like this is equal to, you followed it, a hat itself you can write, where the elements of m say this matrix mij. So this is anyway, so phi of the xj multiplied by wj by using phi I comma phi I, where this indicates this inner product actual. Okay, so you can combine them and you can write also. So L is h times you see m, then h say is L into, followed it, m inverse. Okay, so you can write like this also, and all of them are you followed it interlinked actual, or u say. So this is m inverse times a. Okay, so like this you followed it, you can both of them are interconnected actually, because both of them are same itself. So this way, so you can solve. So so in pseudo spectral method, so what one does is two types of things one does. One is you write in terms of a series coefficients and then you solve. Another way is use this type of cardinal functions, which are nothing. These functions are nothing actual. Okay, so only thing is at when x is equal to xj, so that will be same as the functional value itself, and you directly solve for the functions itself. Okay, so this is how we try to use both the things in pseudo spectral method. Okay, so fine, I think so this is more or less fine for our pseudo spectral method. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. Yeah. So now why is how pseudo spectral name comes? See why these methods are known as pseudo spectral, just now we discussed, right? Tell me. No, you people are there. How come we followed it? What is the pseudo spectral? That name, what does it mean? Say. Just now I told you, right? So what is the main thing in pseudo spectral method? Now what is the most important thing? How do we choose our? So this is the most important thing. So if you choose collocation point same as the Gauss points, now what happens? So you will get same, that is how you see the pseudospectral, the name comes into picture itself. Okay, so then Galerkin, whatever you are using, the Galerkin's approach will be same as this whatever spectral method, whatever you are calling. So that is how the pseudospectral name comes into picture itself. Okay, and then to summarize, so now this pseudospectral method can be done in two ways. One is ordinary, this one. Another one is through this the interpolation kind of a thing, and cardinal functions. Other one is you write in terms of the orthogonal polynomial. So orthogonal polynomial unknowns are the coefficients, but here the function values itself are the unknowns. Okay, so you can solve this way or that way, and then you can get these solutions. Okay, so I suggest all of you, what you can do is the wave equation is there, right? Whatever we solved, dou square u by dou t square, that m by rho, whatever we have. So dou square u by dou x square. Okay, so this wave equations are acoustic wave equation also. Even in Eigel's textbook, he has given it acoustic wave equation also. You people try to do it in pseudospectral method. He has given some figures also. Okay, for pressure wave equation and others. You try to just this time derivative, you do it in a finite difference approach. Okay, this one you use it in a pseudospectral approach, and then you try to get this the solutions. You can plot the numerical results what he has plotted in the textbooks. Similarly, you can plot in for better the understanding. Okay, so is it fine?
Yes, sir.
So now with this pseudospectral, we will not go into detail. If you want to go detail the pseudospectral method, the textbook I have sent you, right? Chebyshev and Fourier spectral methods. Okay, so that
Yes,
book
sir.
you can see he has solved eigenvalue problems, many problems, nonlinear problems and others using this method itself. So in our this course, that is not so important for us. So we will skip all those things. So this much is sufficient for as far as this course is concerned. So from our next class, we will directly jump to. So from next class, we will start our finite element method. Okay. So I hope all of you have done FEM course, right, previously.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just think. So we will start from our next class. This FEM. Okay, how to solve our same wave equation itself.